Welcome to today's Explainer. We spend hours upon hours analyzing the players, dissecting the managers, debating the tactics, but we rarely stop to think about the mind of the person running right alongside them, armed with literally nothing but a whistle, a couple of cards, and a split second to make history-altering decisions. So today, we're going to explore the psychology, the immense pressure, and the unending controversy surrounding what just might be the most heavily scrutinized position on the football pitch.
So let me ask you a question. What is the hardest job in sports? Is it hitting a 100-mile-per-hour fastball? Returning a 130-mile-per-hour tennis serve? I'd argue it might actually be refereeing a professional football match. Just imagine it. You are standing in the middle of a stadium with 70,000 screaming fans. A defender lunges into the path of a forward. The forward goes down. The crowd absolutely erupts, screaming for a penalty. Do you blow the whistle? Do you wave play on? Or do you penalize the forward for diving? You have a fraction of a second to decide. And honestly, half the world is going to hate you no matter what you do.
And when these split-second decisions go wrong, they are burned into our collective memories. They literally alter history. Think back to 1986. Diego Maradona punches the ball into the net to knock England out of the World Cup, and the referee completely misses it. Or 2006, when English referee Graham Poll astonishingly handed out 3 yellow cards to Croatia's Josip Semunek before finally sending him off. That single mistake cost Poll his chance to officiate the final. Then you've got Thierry Henry's blatant handball that robbed Ireland of a 2010 World Cup spot, and Frank Lampard's clear ghost goal against Germany that same year that was just completely ignored. These are the moments that leave fans absolutely devastated.
But we rarely stop to think about the emotional toll these blunders take on the officials themselves. Take Norwegian referee Tom Henning Overbo. He was reflecting on his disastrous performance in the 2009 Champions League semifinal between Chelsea and Barcelona, where he turned down 4 separate penalty appeals from Chelsea. After the match, furious players surrounded him. But it didn't stop on the pitch. Overbo actually received death threats from fans and had to change hotels just to stay safe. He later admitted, "I can't be proud of that performance. There were several errors. Some days you were not at the level you should be." It's a pretty stark reminder that behind every blown whistle is a real human being dealing with unimaginable pressure.
Because maintaining control out there is a razor-thin balancing act, and sometimes that control completely evaporates. 20. Just think about that number for a second. That represents the absolute peak of refereeing chaos from the 2006 World Cup during the infamous Battle of Nuremberg between Portugal and the Netherlands. Russian referee Valentin Ivanov was forced to brandish 20 cards in a single game, including 4 red cards. To this day, it remains a record high for any FIFA tournament.
Just look at how incredibly fast a match can spiral totally out of control. Just 2 minutes in, Mark van Bommel commits a cynical trip, and it sets this violent precedent for the whole game. Right before halftime, Portugal's Castilla commits a completely absurd tactical handball on the halfway line to get himself a red card. By the 60th minute, it's absolute carnage out there. Luis Figo literally headbutts an opponent and only gets a yellow. The whole shebang mercifully ends in the 95th minute with Giovanni van Bronckhorst picking up the 20th card of the match. Sepp Blatter was actually so outraged he claimed the referee himself deserved a yellow card. But really, it brilliantly illustrates how an official can just become completely overwhelmed by the pure, unadulterated aggression of 22 players.
Part 1. The Psychology of the Whistle.
Okay, so how do these highly trained professionals actually end up making these massive errors? Well, academic research gives us a fascinating look under the hood. A study from the Journal of Sports Science and Medicine interviewed highly experienced professional referees and mapped out 4 higher-order themes that dictate a decision. Right in the middle is ideal decision-making. That's the goal, right? Absolute accuracy, strict professionalism, following the rules to the letter. But look at the 3 boxes feeding into it. You've got individual factors like personal opinion and concentration levels. You have experience factors like their personality. And crucially, you have situational factors. In a fraction of a second, a referee has to filter their desire for the perfect call through all of these noisy competing variables.
Let's zero in on one of those situational factors because it's arguably the biggest game changer: home advantage. The data is clear. Home teams win more often, they get more penalties, and they receive fewer bookings. Researchers actually tested this. They had 40 qualified referees watch videos of matches and make calls. Half watched in complete silence, and half watched with the actual crowd noise turned on. And guess what? The referees who heard that vociferous crowd noise gave significantly fewer decisions against the home team. Literally, 70,000 screaming fans completely altered how a referee perceived a foul.
Listen to how one highly experienced pro referee explained it in the study. They said, "I think that whatever happens, A lot of it is subconscious, and we can all be affected subconsciously, can't we? Even the absolute most elite officials in the world admit they can't completely build a wall in their minds against the roaring intimidation of a massive crowd. It seeps in. It makes them second-guess their own gut instincts.
So, how do they deal with it? Because of this immense psychological weight, referees have to develop intense coping mechanisms. To survive the scrutiny and the sheer inevitability of making a bad call, they often just have to admit their own human nature. They know their brains can only process so much information at game speed. When they miss a call, the absolute healthiest thing they can do to protect their confidence for the rest of the match is to remind themselves, at the end of the day, we're human and we make mistakes.
Part 2. The VAR Dilemma.
The thing is, fans in billion-dollar broadcast deals demand perfection. And that brings us to the cold, hard data of VAR, the Video Assistant Referee. Before VAR was introduced, referee accuracy was sitting at around 93%, which honestly is pretty incredible for the naked human eye in real time. But it still leaves a 7% margin for catastrophic errors like the hand of God. Post-VAR, accuracy skyrocketed to 98.8%. It's undeniable. The technology is objectively making the game more accurate and eliminating those clear and obvious errors.
And let's break down how VAR actually operates out there. First off, it's an unbelievable deterrent against cheating. It catches those hidden fouls behind the referee's back and drastically cuts down on diving. Now, I know people complain about the time it takes, but the data actually shows it takes an average of 20 seconds for the video room to review an incident and about 15 seconds to reach a decision. Over a 90-minute game, VAR interventions only add an average of 55 seconds to the match. It's crazy. And interestingly, because time is accounted for so strictly now, we're seeing a massive increase in dramatic injury time goals, like the 2018 World Cup, where a record 20 goals were scored after the 90th minute.
But, as we all know, numbers don't tell the whole story, do they? This brings us to a massive cultural trade-off. On the pro side, VAR ensures justice. It protects teams from being robbed by a human mistake. But on the con side, it extracts a heavy emotional tax. It interrupts the organic flow, it takes the pure simplicity of football, a ball, a net, a whistle, and turns it into this legalistic review process where you're standing around in the cold for minutes, waiting for a video screen to dictate reality. And the players feel this deeply. German international Sami Khedira put it pretty bluntly, "Football means emotions. Now players don't know whether to celebrate, it means the death of the game." Think about how true that is. You score the winning goal in a massive derby. The net ripples, the crowd explodes, but instead of sprinting to the corner flag in pure ecstasy, you freeze. You look over your shoulder at the referee, waiting to see if he puts his finger to his ear. That immediate, spontaneous joy of football's greatest moment is just put on pause.
Which brings us to a pretty provocative thought to wrap up today's explainer. We started by looking at the impossible, high-pressure job of the human referee and the heartbreaking errors that come with it. Then we looked at the cold, clinical, technological fix that solved the accuracy problem, but maybe broke the game's emotional core in the process. So I leave you with this. Has technology perfected the game, or has it stripped away the flawed, unpredictable human element that made football so beautiful in the first place? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.